Hello, everyone. Welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. We've got 3 brand new decks for you today. We've got Devilish playing an extremely winning deck, dominating Conquest, already hit Infinite on ladder, that has cards in it you would never expect. We've got a high Infinite Kazoo, and we've got our friend Safetyblade back with a Ms. Marvel deck that is absolutely top notch. Must be seen to be believed. Before we go any further, I'd like to invite you to hit that sub button. It helps us out. It's totally free for you to help us grow. In return, we give you at least 2, almost every day, 3 brand new decks. We're doing videos 6 days a week, Monday through Friday, and then almost every Sunday. I can't remember the last Sunday we missed. We've got 3 new decks. We've got all the content you could need, shop guides, bundle guides, reviews, everything you could want from your Marvel Snap content. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. Help us out. In addition, we're doing a giveaway. Do the biggest giveaway in Marvel Snap every single month. But right now, we're trying to give away for our friend Father Newman's birthday. Happy birthday, Newman. All you have to do is go to his YouTube, subscribe, and say happy birthday on a video that says Alioth makes a marvelous Sandman. You can win either a season pass or $10 of a gold bundle. Please check it out. Today is the second to last chance. I will remind you one more time tomorrow, and then we're pulling winners on Friday. Our decks for today, we have Devilish's deck. You can find Devilish on twitch.tv/Devilish_play. We've got 5 nerfs in Marvel Snap's history that I think should be reverted. We've got a deck from Revis. It's actually from Derek, but Revis shared it. So if you want gameplay, if you want more on the deck, check out youtube.com/@RevisSnap. Yesterday was a year of Snap Judgments, the podcast, not the YouTube channel, but we're going to do some reflections. We also have Safetyblade's deck, which you can find Safety playing on twitch.tv/Safetyblade. And then we're going to look at my shop from yesterday, because yesterday was the review of Gladiator, and today, let's go. First up, we have Devilish Ladies Who Lunch. I love this deck. This deck is absolutely amazing. It has a million plays, and it's got Rescue. Rescue and Jessica Jones, by the way, are the cards I was talking about at the beginning that you were not expecting to find. So this deck, early on, if you can go Rescue into Jessica Jones on a Zabu, you now have a 20 power lane by the end of turn 4. At that point, you're so set to win, right? Like, that lane is basically taken care of. You're trying to figure out how to win another one. You can always magic and pass if you would like to. You can Enchantress to knock off what's important for them. You can start dropping cards like Iron Lad, or if you already have Sunspot out, you can just pass into a 1-cost She-Hulk and then play other powerful cards in combination. If you do end up playing Magic on turn 5 after that kind of play, and you pass 6, you've got a free She-Hulk that can be played with America Chavez or Doom. If on other play lines you get a Moon Girl, to double that She-Hulk, you can get double free She-Hulk along with Doom and Chavez. Or, excuse me, Doom or Chavez. This deck is extremely powerful and has an absolutely silly amount of plays. You need to try it out. First, you have to have Zabu. You have to have Zabu. It's a Zabu meta. Once again, for a few weeks, Zabu was not one of the best cards in the game. Because of Mobius, it's back. It's one of the best cards in the game. Go get it. Iron Lad is great, but Shanghai Jubilee are totally fine here. Iron Lad is here basically because sometimes you see Zabu, you don't see what you want to do on 3, you can just drop the Lad. If Lad hits Jessica Jones, Enchantress, or Rescue, you're pretty damn happy. If it hits Doom, you freaking won the game. Sometimes you'll Lad on 4, and it'll give you Zabu, which is going to give you double 4s late in the game, which is really powerful. There's a lot to like about Iron Lad here, but Jubilee does most of the same thing, just messes up your board space. And Shang-Chi is, it's Shang-Chi. I feel like I don't have to explain Shang-Chi if you've been playing Marvel Snap long enough. Turn by turn, this is 15-2 in Conquest with 2 Infinity tickets. It's also hit Infinite already. It's a top-notch deck. The only turn 1 play is Sunspot. Turn 2, ideally Zabu. If you play Zabu, feel free to snap. Everything else is going to go off. If not, Lizard. Zabu is still the play on turn 3 over basically everything. If you have Zabu already, Moon Girl, and if you have double She-Hulk, please snap. You can also Drop Rescue here. Rescue is better than Lad, is better than Jessica. I don't love Jessica on 3 because it sort of lets them know you're going to ignore that lane. I don't love that. If you didn't see Zabu to get these combos off, Magic is the play. Turn 4, Moon Girl, and again, if you have the She-Hulk play set up on turn 4 with Moon Girl, you are snapping. And if not, your order is basically the same as turn 3. Turn 5, Magic is your priority. If you already Magicked, you can also completely fine play Moon Girl on turn 5. So if you Magic on 3 and you played something else on 4, you can Moon Girl on 5 to skip 6. Turn 6, if you do play, you're likely dropping, like, you've got, like, a reasonable amount of power in cards like She-Hulk, for if you skip 5, right? Because you can skip 5. You've got a 1-cost She-Hulk, and then you can drop that with a Lizard, and now that's 3. And if you had a Zabu out, now you can drop Iron Lad also. It seems pretty good, right? You can also drop Enchantress or whatever other card you would like to at that point for a lot of power. And, Sunspot gets really big in these cases. If you got Magic out, though, you're skipping and you're going, ideally, She-Hulk, She-Hulk, Doom. Just She-Hulk and Doom is a lot of power wide. So you've got a lot going for you. Try this out. Quick variant talk before we go on. We've got the Sunspot chilling in a pool. It felt appropriate for this one. We are a hip light deck, sadly. We've got the hip Zabu and the hip Iron Lad, and that's it. I still need a Lizard variant somehow. Don't know how, but I do. I've got a few magics. I still like the Phoenix Force one best. The Flaming Sword just looks cool. I decided to go with the Halloween Moon Girl. It's cute. I like it. I don't know. I only have Pixel Rescue. Eventually, I will have the hip. Fret not. We've got this great Enchantress standing on the Hulk's back. I've got that one in gold. Noir Jessica Jones, my second favorite to hip. We've got Alex Ross Emperor Doom. We'll talk more about that later. I've also got gold America Chavez and gold She-Hulk. I got this Peach Momoko She-Hulk gold already, and this is the Chavez that thus far I have gotten golded. This is a very pretty deck and a very powerful deck. Please try it. Again, 15 and 2 infinity tickets. That's bonkers. This is what the thumbnail was about. Try this deck. All right. So recently, over the past couple months, Second Dinner have reverted the following nerfs. They've reverted Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom's Doombots were 4 power for a little while. That's back to 5. Red Skull went down to 12 and +1, and now it's back to 14 and +2. She-Hulk ages ago went to a 6-9, and it's now back to a 6-10. The Collector went to a 2-0 and went to a 2-2. There are 5 other cards I would really like to see the nerfs reverted for. I'd like Beast to go back to being a 2-2. I don't think Bounce is overpowered. I think Bounce is very good, but I don't think it's overpowered. And I think reverting Beast to a 2-2 would really push the deck back into the meta, and I don't think it would make it overpowered. That's going to be the most controversial of these changes, I'm telling you right now. But I think Beast as a 2-2 would be super fun. It does encroach on Falcon. Maybe you make Beast a 2-1 and keep Falcon a 2-3 so that the stats are a little different. But I'm totally fine with these kinds of changes. Or you can change it so that Falcon gets Beast's ability and Beast gets Falcon's ability. Anything along those lines. This way, Beast can be a 2-3 and Falcon can be a 2-2, and that makes more sense. But Falcon at that point would have Beast's ability and get the -1 for all the cards. I want the Soul Stone to go back for Thanos. That's the next change I'd like reverted. The Soul Stone should draw, and if the Soul Stone won't draw, I'll settle for the Power Stone drawing, but one of these two needs to draw. It's really, really difficult for Thanos to compete consistently without that extra draw. It just lowers the consistency level of the deck to a point that's silly. Thanos's big issue ultimately is that it's an 18 card deck, so it has less consistency. Lower consistency even further than that is not a fun change, and it sort of breaks the way the deck works. I think the draw should come back. Next up, Stature and Black Bolt both lost 1 power. Black Bolt was a 6-8, Stature was a 6-7. I think with the change to Shang, that 8 and 7, sorry, that Stature went to 6 and Black Bolt went to 7. So I think Stature should go back to 7, Black Bolt should go back to 8. The change to Shang-Chi means that that extra stat is far less valuable than it was. 8 used to be this extremely premium stat line. I don't think it is anymore. 9 is the premium stat line now. So I think Black Bolt and Stature should inch closer to that point. I think, honestly, they're not played enough right now for it to be a huge problem, and I don't think this would push them back to the very top of the meta. They still don't go over the top of things like Destroy, which weren't in the meta when they were dominant. Sarah should be a 5-5. Sarah is very good as a 5-4, But Sarah's problem right now is Loki is a 4/5 and does what Sarah does better. There's almost no choice between the two in terms of power. Loki is just so much better than Sarah, giving Sarah an extra power, so at least she's even for one more cost to Loki would go a long way to making that card more viable. Not that it's not viable, but it would go a long way to equalizing that matchup and making it feel less bad to play Sarah instead of Loki when you have the option. Finally, Captain Marvel went from a what was it, a 5/6 to a 4/5, and then was lowered to a 4/4. I think it's time to put Captain Marvel back to a 4/5. The decks again that it was dominant in that meta are gone. Those move Legion decks are still good, but they're nowhere near the top of the meta where they were. Meanwhile, cards like Alioth give Captain Marvel more value, giving her the extra power so that she matches Doctor Doom, so that she matches Silk, would make her a much better card, and the power ceiling for the game has been raised because of Shang-Chi. I really think this Captain Marvel change would go a long way to pushing different decks. All right, so what I'd like you to do at this point is comment any other nerfs you think should be reverted or cards you think should really be nerfs, but don't just say Loki and Elsa, please. So nerfs you think should be reverted is the goal here, or cards you think should really be nerfed or buffed and what that is, and I'll pick a couple of my favorites and we'll talk about it in tomorrow's video. Let's get to the next deck. Next up, we have Derek's Shanna Zoo. Thank you to Revis for featuring this on his channel. This deck is really, really cool. It's got your traditional like pool 1 zoo cards of like Blue Marvel, Khazar, Sunspot, Ant-Man, Squirrel Girl, and then armor often goes in a lot of those once you get to pool 2, right? And then besides that, it's got a bunch of other just really, really good cards. Spider-Ham is an amazingly powerful tech card that you want to play relatively early. Um, Elsa makes your ones have real value. Jeff is obviously great with Elsa and just one of the best cards in the game. And Shanna fundamentally operates almost as a second Swirl Girl, while Shadow King is super important because it stops a lot of opponents, think Destroy, from just going straight over the top of you and making you sad. Your job here is fundamental to throw priority, so Killmonger can't destroy you, and big things can get brought down by the Shadow King. Ooh. Jeff can be Nightcrawler here. You lose a little bit, obviously, but not all that much. But you're going to need Elsa for this version. Elsa is what gives these guys enough stats to really compete into the late game. You want that third big pump to go with Khazar and Blue Marvel, and Elsa is where those come from. Derek is a very high infinite player, often in the top 10 ranks in all of Marvel Snap, and this is one of his main decks, which means that this deck can compete at the highest levels of Snap. You just have to know how to play it, have to know when to snap, have to know when to retreat. So, generally speaking, turn 1 Sunspot, turn 2 Elsa, turn 3 is Armor or Jeff, and if you can play with them, this is when you want to Spider Ham when they've gotten a couple things out of their hand. Then Khazar into Blue Marvel. That's like the goal at that point. And then turn 6, Shauna to almost fill a bunch of lanes. And you've got Elsa out, right? So then you play the ones on top of Shauna to fill the lanes. They get +2 from Elsa, +1 from Khazar, +1 from Blue Marvel. It's +4 power in every card. It is very, very strong at that point. And from there, you should win the game of Marvel Snap. That's the goal anyway. Variant talk. We are at 5 hips here. You love to see it. We've got the Ham hip, the Elsa hip, the Jeff hip. Oh, excuse me, 6. The Khazar hip, Iron Lad hip, and Blue Marvel hip. I need the Shauna hip pretty badly. It's again a card I need a variant for. I do believe this is the best armor in the game. I love it so much. We've got Ryan Gonzalez Squirrel Girl. I have it in black and white. I'll get it in gold relatively soon. I decided to switch up the Ant-Man. I've been showing the same one for a while. I think the baby one is cute, so here we are. It also fits with the like spider ham motif. I threw a different Sunspot in this deck. This is the Twitch drop one. This is the only Shadow King I have, but it's one of my favorite Shadow Kings. Try this deck out if you have access to Elsa, basically. If you have access to Elsa, oh, Spider Ham's a Series 4 card, excuse me. If you don't have Spider Ham, add Iceman. Iceman is perfectly fine, and in some cases, honestly, better. It depends. It's like pure variance. They both hit something fairly random. Spider Ham can be back breaking, but so can Iceman. Okay. Quick reflection time. I'll try and be brief. So It's been a year since we started the podcast. The podcast originally started as me with my friends Roy and Chris just talking about Marvel Snap. And pretty soon I decided I wanted to get serious, see if I can grow it, see if I could make this a thing. So I did. So like I started inviting guests. I reached out to first Bootman. Bootman was one of my favorite creators at the time. Is still one of my favorite creators. He's a friend of mine now. And I was like, you should come on the podcast. And I started to get like more traction. I figured as soon as I decided to make this big, I'm a teacher, right? And all my kids are always like, you need a YouTube channel. People, for whatever reason, seem to like listening to me talk. Cool. Thank you. I greatly appreciate it. If you're watching this long, I would assume you're one of them. Thank you so much. So I figured that there's a reasonable chance I'm successful. But I figured if I was successful, it was really important to me to provide value. I don't want to be successful just because like people like to watch me talk. I want to be giving people something that they can use. So the podcast has had become like a way to like get these cool creators to interact and like do things they weren't going to. But also, I believe in community, not competition. I think I'm a union person. So I think success as part of a community, a success for everybody, a rising tide raises all boats. I want that. I want my growth to be growth for others. And so the podcast became, as Chris stopped playing nearly as much Marvel Snap, the podcast became, as we got involved with first Snap Zen and then Marvel Snap Zone, something we invited other creators. We try and mix between the biggest creators in the game. Um, I mean, we've had Glenn Jones, we've had KM on, we've had Collins on twice, we've had Lambie on twice, we have Den on once a month, et cetera, right? But we also have we'll have Obi on soon, right? Obi Haved, who's awesome. We feature decks from Devilish. Like, I want this to be a community. We're all working, we're all trying to bring great content. And I want you to be able to be like, my hobby is Marvel Snap, and I watch and listen to all these cool people who seem to really like the game, really enjoy each other, and they care about making me better. That's why I always take time to try and build things. I don't know how successful I am. I feel like I've been reasonably successful at this so far, but a year in, I'd love to hear what you think about whether my goals are being met and what you think I could do to better reach them. Cool. Let's do our last deck. We've got Safety Locks. Safetyblade is the genius deck builder of Marvel Snap. He is one of the best deck builders in the world, period, bar freaking none. This is his take on the Ms. Marvel Lockdown, which means it's got a lot of the normal cards you've been finding in that list. Those cards are Nebula, Echo, Medusa, Jeff, Storm, Ms. Marvel, Lad, Professor X, and Alioth. Oh, if you didn't know, if you're new, I say Alioth, not Alioth, because Alioth makes me go Sephiroth in my head, and it makes it like it genuinely just makes me smile a little bit, and he's an annoying purple cloud, but it makes me happy, and that's what we're going to do. So, okay, um, that means the different cards here are Psylocke, which gives you the scam of Professor X or early play of Vision, the Drax to make Storm better, and like Alioth isn't in a lot of these, and it always weirds me out because we're running a lot of Doom, we're running a lot of Onslaught, we're running a lot of those cards. But like at the end of the game, if they can Enchantress or Ms. Marvel, you're gonna have priority, right? Like you've got Ms. Marvel, you've got Vision, you've hopefully Professor X or Stormed in one lane, right? If you just drop Alioth mid, their Enchantress or Rogue or whatever other nonsense, it does not bother you, and you've won the game. So when people don't do that, I'm always mildly like confused. Okay, cool. Let's go forward. Uh, this deck is crazy expensive. I'm really sorry. That's the reason it's last. It's one of the strongest decks, but it is very expensive. You really need Nebula, Echo, Marvel, Lad, and why did I say Vision? And Alioth. Um, try Sunspot, Iceman, Shang, Flash Jubilee, and Arrow or Legion. You can also try Doom or Magneto. Ooh, it's significantly worse. Like the actual like random filler Series 5 cards here are extremely powerful because of the meta. Sorry. Um, This just keeps winning infinite and infinity tickets. I'm gonna say hi to, I don't know if he's watching, but Andrew Duel is the one who like put me onto how actually good this is. Safety always releases over on his Twitter at Safetyblade MS on Twitter. Always releases like new decks with the new card, and sometimes those decks are like chef's kiss through the roof, and sometimes they're just his early experiments as he learns things. This is one of his early experiments, but it turns out it's one of the best decks, and you should try this version. So turn 1 is Nebula Blind Right. I like Nebula Blind far right because people are playing mid a lot now, and why not take a chance that the opponent will not be able to play there, and the Nebula can be huge, right? Or Echo Middle is your backup plan. Turn 2 is Medusa Mid, generally better than Jeff left or mid. Medusa is just a lot of power, and it opens up that Professor X play to be middle, which is really nice. Storm or Psylocke on 3. If you Storm, you're looking to play Drax or Ms. Marvel. Next, sometimes you can Lad, because that'll often be Drax or Ms. Marvel into that lane. If you're ladding, try and make sure that you don't have Professor X in the deck. It's obnoxious to Professor X and Storm one lane. You can also play Psylocke and then scam into either Professor X or Vision. Or you can play a 2-in-1. Something like Medusa and Echo are perfectly fine there. At that point, you would just play Ms. Marvel the next turn or Lad. Turn 5 is Professor X or Vision generally. Again, Lad is a decent backup. And turn 6, you almost always want to just drop Goliath. See, I know how to say it, I promise. All good? That's the way you play this deck. Around turn 3 is when you're looking to snap, by the way. When you're seeing if you can get that Storm Psylocke off, or when you're seeing if you get that Storm or Psylocke off to just win that lane. That's what you're looking for your win condition. If you get Storm and Professor X off, like, they should run, right? Like, but if the other lane is in contention and you have priority, Goliath just wins. Okay, let's take a quick variant look. We've got Nebula, Medusa, Jeff, Ms. Marvel, Iron Lad, Vision, Goliath, 7 hips. So exciting. This deck is awesome. I've got this awesome Storm they gave us in gold. Big fan. I need an Echo variant. I'm planning on buying one today, the 15th, as you're watching this. Today is the 15th as you're watching this. In today's shop, I'm hoping that the Peach Echo shows up. I will buy it immediately. I obviously don't have the Peach Psylocke, but unless something goes terribly wrong, I will by the end of the month, right? So I will have that Psylocke. I still want the hip Psylocke, but I'm fine with this one. It's gorgeous. I've got this really cool Drax. In my head, I call this Kratos Drax because he feels like the God of War. And my favorite Magneto chilling with his boyfriend. Sorry, excuse me. My favorite Professor X chilling with his boyfriend Magneto. This is one of my favorite baby variants in the game. Ooh, shop time. All right, yesterday's shop, I was not a fan. So I've got the armor you saw earlier. I've got the Alex Ross Invisible Woman. I'm not spending 1,200 gold on a Quicksilver. I have Hip Lockjaw, I have Hip Wong, I have Hip High Evolutionary, which means Mystique and Ghost Rider are the real choices. So I've got this Peach Momoko Mystique gold, and it's gorgeous, and I love it so much, and I feel no need for another Mystique. But I also opened the Ms. Marvel Mystique, which is really cool if you know the history of the character. So I'm rocking both of those without any real hesitation. This Ghost Rider is nice, but they gave us a Ghost Rider in last month's season pass, and I just happened to have opened this Kim Jacinto beauty. I actually used the Jacinto because animated. This is one of my favorite pieces of art. It's real cool. So I didn't feel the need for the Baby Rider, although it is quite a nice piece of art. Today's shop was I don't know. I don't want to say frustrating, but like not far from frustrating, right? I have plenty of Cyclopses. We've talked about them before. I have Hip Leader. I have I have like a baby Hella and a besides the baby Hella, what's the other Hella I have? Oh, and the gardening Hella. I love gardening Hella, so I don't need another Hella. I do need a Black Knight, but the hip should be out soon. I'm waiting for a Black Knight I actually want. No offense to the Max Greek, but it's not for me. I have Wolverine in the Rain. Like 2 or 3 days ago, we talked about the Wolverine variants. Like 2 weeks ago, we talked about the Sabretooth variants. They're both very nice. I have 2 Sabretooths I'm perfectly happy with. Wolverine in the Rain, I'm never playing another Wolverine. I got Hip Odin. I'm thrilled I got Hip Odin. I've been waiting forever for Hip Odin. We're set with Hip Odin. And then I was like, do I want this Doom? This is one of the best Dooms in the game. It is so freaking cool. But I have the top 2 Dooms. I have the Baby Doom, which is, in my opinion, the second best Doom. And I have Alex Ross's Emperor Doom Gold, which is the best Doom. Plus, in a couple weeks, this Hellfire Gala Doom is coming out. And if there's one like alternate weird Doom I want, that Hellfire Gala one is gorgeous. And then there's a bundle coming out, I want to say in January, with this other Doom, the one with the gold and blue in the background. And holy crap, is that perfect? And I might like that as much as the Alex Ross. So if there's like two Dooms I already have that are like, I mean, one is S tier and one is A tier, and then like another A and another S coming out, then I don't need just an extra A tier Doom, right? Like it felt like a waste of 1200 gold. But I got another hip today. I'm up to like 84, 85 hips, so not half bad. All good. If you made it this far, please hit that sub button, like, comment, and ring that notification bell, and we will see you tomorrow with another Snap Take. Peace.